I'm losing, but I'm not. Anyway, you get the idea.
He was once the highest-paid actor on television, the man whose face could light up millions of living rooms every week. Charlie Sheen, charming, talented, born into Hollywood royalty, seemed destined to live a life of untouchable success. But behind the dazzling smile and the roar of laughter from Two and a Half Men, there was a storm quietly building. Hollywood has seen its fair share of scandals, but none quite like his. Women, drugs, violence, and eventually the devastating truth about HIV. Charlie Sheen didn't just flirt with controversy, he embodied it. His life became a spectacle, a living cautionary tale that blurred the line between fame and self-destruction. How does a man who had everything, money, fame, power, manage to throw it all away in the most public way possible? How does someone go from being a beloved star to being branded as the king of scandal? This is not just the story of an actor. It's the story of a man consumed by excess, who dared to live without limits and paid the ultimate price. The rise, the fall, and the haunting aftermath of Charlie Sheen, the scandal that Hollywood could never forget. Charlie Sheen was born Carlos Erwin Estevez in 1965, the son of legendary actor Martin Sheen. From the very beginning, the spotlight seemed to follow him. Growing up in Malibu, surrounded by the chaos and glamour of Hollywood, Charlie was immersed in a world where success and temptation often walked hand in hand. At school, he was already showing signs of charm and charisma, filming short movies with friends who would later become stars themselves. But behind the playful boy with a bright future was a restless spirit, drawn to danger and excess even at a young age. Expelled from high school for poor grades and bad behavior, Charlie chose to chase acting full-time, stepping into the very shadow of his father. And when he finally landed roles in films like Platoon and Wall Street, his rise was meteoric. Critics praised his raw intensity, and audiences loved his rebellious edge. Charlie wasn't just another actor, he was the face of a new generation of Hollywood bad boys. But fame came early, and so did the darker impulses that would one day consume him. While the world saw a star in the making, those close to him already saw the cracks forming. The boy who had everything was already learning how to throw it all away. By the early 2000s, Charlie Sheen had become more than just a movie actor. He was television's golden boy. When he stepped into the hit sitcom Two and a Half Men, everything changed. The show exploded in popularity, and with it, Charlie's fame skyrocketed. Week after week, millions tuned in not just for the comedy, but to see Sheen play a version of himself, the charming, womanizing bachelor who lived without consequences. Hollywood rewarded him handsomely. At the height of his run, Charlie was making nearly $1.8 million per episode, making him the highest-paid TV actor in history. He lived in a mansion filled with luxury cars, endless parties, and an entourage that followed his every move. Women flocked to him, tabloids couldn't get enough of him, and his lifestyle seemed like the ultimate fantasy. But beneath the glittering surface, the lines between character and reality were blurring. The wild bachelor audiences laughed at on screen was the same man destroying himself off-screen. Fame gave Charlie everything he wanted: money, adoration, power, but it also fed his most dangerous desires. And soon, the very success that made him Hollywood's king would fuel the scandals that turned him into its ultimate cautionary tale. As Charlie Sheen's star burned brighter, so did the fire of his self-destruction. What the world once admired as bad boy charm quickly unraveled into something darker. His nights were no longer just filled with laughter and champagne. They became marathons of drugs, alcohol, and chaos. Cocaine binges, endless escorts, and dangerous parties were no longer rumors, they were headlines. Police reports began stacking up. In 1990, he accidentally shot fiancée Kelly Preston. Years later, allegations of domestic violence haunted him, with multiple women accusing him of abuse and threats. What once looked like Hollywood mischief was now criminal, destructive, and terrifying. The tabloids called him Teflon Charlie because scandals slid off without ending his career, at least for a while. But each arrest, each overdose scare, each public meltdown chipped away at the glamorous image that had made him untouchable. Even more shocking were his own words. Declaring he had tiger blood and Adonis DNA, Sheen mocked rehab, mocked his critics, and doubled down on his excess. The world watched in disbelief as a man who once symbolized talent became a walking circus of scandal. It wasn't just a dark side, it was a free fall, and the crash would come in the most devastating way. In 2015, the curtain finally fell on Charlie Sheen's reckless empire. After years of speculation, whispers, and lawsuits, Sheen sat before the cameras of a morning news show and revealed the truth. He was HIV positive. The confession sent shockwaves through Hollywood and across the world. For years, he had hidden his diagnosis while continuing his lifestyle of excess. Several partners came forward with lawsuits, claiming he had put them at risk by failing to disclose his condition. The tiger blood bravado suddenly felt hollow, and the man who once mocked his critics was now forced to face them. The revelation was more than a scandal, it was a tragedy. It stripped away the last remnants of his invincible persona, leaving only a man broken and vulnerable, staring into the consequences of his own choices. His career crumbled, endorsements vanished, roles disappeared, and even the loyal fans who once cheered for his rebellion now turned away. Hollywood had always loved Charlie Sheen for living without limits, but when those limits finally came crashing down, he became the very thing the industry feared most, a cautionary tale in human form. The king of excess had lost his crown, and with it, his future. Charlie Sheen's story is not remembered for the roles that once made him a star, but for the chaos that nearly consumed him. He should have been celebrated for Platoon, Wall Street, or the golden era of 2.5 Men. Instead, his legacy became synonymous with scandal, sex, drugs, violence, and the haunting revelation of HIV. In many ways, Charlie represents the dark side of fame. He had everything: money, talent, opportunity, but instead of building an enduring career, he chose the fleeting thrill of self-destruction. His downfall became a global spectacle, watched not with admiration, but with morbid fascination. Yet, hidden beneath the wreckage is a lesson. Fame without discipline is fragile. Excess without limits is fatal. Charlie Sheen showed the world that even the brightest stars can burn themselves out if they mistake chaos for freedom. Today, his name evokes more caution than celebration. And perhaps that is his true legacy, not the millions he earned, nor the headlines he dominated, but the reminder that success means nothing if you lose yourself along the way. So, what do you think? Was Charlie Sheen a wasted genius, or a man doomed by his own choices? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's reflect on what Hollywood's most infamous scandal really teaches us all.